Welcome. Welcome. We're learning Parshat Tavo. We're starting it today. Tavo we're getting very close to the end of the Chumash. That's it. We're almost finished. We're getting close to some Chastar. Rosh Hashanah is coming soon. That's it. Today's Tesvav, the full moon.
Oh, that's right. Is it your Dalit or Tesvav?
Today is Tesvav already. So today's Monday.
Yesterday there was a lunar eclipse in Israel. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. So
I want to know if you know anything about what.
No, I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay. So we are, though it's a very special day. The Rebbe brings out when the moon is full because we're represented by the moon, the Jewish people, and in our full bloom, full moon. That means our full illumination. It's also the day that the Rebbe Rashab founded Tomchei Tmimim Yeshiva on the 15th of Elul. Remember, we learned last week that the Tomchei Tmimim Yeshiva was a new era in the Jewish education, because never before had there been a yeshiva that had both in the curriculum, both the revealed parts of Torah and the hidden parts of Torah, Chassidus. So if people wanted to learn Kabbalah or Chassidus in the past, they had to learn it on their own time, and individually, however they set it up themselves. But when the Rebbe Rashab founded Tomchei Tmimim, he founded it in the system. And it's a learning program, and a learning that you can understand Chassidus in your mind, in your brain, in your seichel. It wasn't just like get inspired by some nice possible theoretical idea or sense of godliness. It was more really taking the concepts of Hashem and ideas and understanding Hashem with our brain, with our mind, with our logical brain. So that was the Chava. Thank you, Chava, for the thumbs up. Yes, so that's what we attempt to do here. We're like a little Tomchei Tmimim Yeshiva, and the Rebbe did say that everybody really their house should not just be a house Torah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah, but also a house of like Yeshiva Tomchei Tmimim, where you learn Chassidus. So not just the external parts of Torah, that's for sure, but also the Chassidus dimensions of Torah. So here we are, our little mini Tomchei Tmimim here on Zoom, on Bais Chana Zoom. Okay, so today we can celebrate that this was a gift from the Rebbe Rashab to establish this kind of yeshiva where every day we get to learn some Chassidus. Okay, as part of our curriculum of what the Rebbe wants us to do. Okay. So let's go inside. Parshat Tavo, paragraph 1. The Rebbe said this on Parshat Tavo, and also and I think also either that day was the 21st of Elul, or it's a combination of Kitavo and the 21st of Elul of 1991. Continuing what's the command in our parsha about the mitzvah of bringing the first fruits, the bikurim, and saying the vidui. There's like a confession kind of thing that you say. It was a declaration that every person who brought the bikurim would say when he brought it to the Kohen in the Beis Hamikdash. This was done when they came to the land of Israel. This parsha is kind of like was the culmination where this not sure exactly. Okay, let me translate exactly. When Shebazeh, through this, I guess the mitzvah of bikurim that was taught here by Moshe Rabbeinu about what you do when you come to the land of Israel. So through finalizing and teaching this mitzvah of bikurim, Moshe is hishlim, finalized and completed to explain the Torah, ulechadesh kol mitzvot, and to renew all the mitzvahs asher tziva to Hashem, that Hashem commanded him. Meaning that the whole Chumash Devarim, this last final Chumash, the 5th book of the 5 books of Moses. Moshe Rabbeinu is reviewing what happened to the Jews, and at the final, like now, towards the end, like I said, we're getting towards the end. We're almost there at Simchas Torah, where we'll start anew. Moshe Rabbeinu is finishing to explain the Torah and to renew the mitzvahs that Hashem commanded him. This is a quote from the Ramban. Nachmanides. On the verse that says Hayom Hazeh Hashem Elokecha Mitzvah. Today Hashem is commanding you. So this was in this week's Torah portion, I believe. Yeah, possibly verse 16. You could take a look. That's it. But this the Rebbe is bringing from the psukim, from the verses, and from the Mefarshim, that right now when we're learning this one of these final parshas of the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu with this mitzvah of Bikurim is finalizing the review of all the mitzvahs. Okay, this is kind of like the wholeness and culmination of reviewing the mitzvahs with the Jewish people. What he started explaining on the 11th month, the first of the 11th month, Be'er on the other side of the Jordan River, Be'eretz Moab, in the land of Moab. Moshe Rabbeinu is reviewing about keeping all the Torah, kol mitzvahs, all the mitzvahs, and about the bris. The bris is the covenant. That's between Hashem and the Jewish people. And like he said, and this is from the Ramban, he completed everything in this book, the Mishnah Torah, the 5th book of Devarim. So this is kind of like a culmination. Let me just see who joined us. Welcome, Zoom user, whoever you are. If you want, you can introduce yourself. Welcome, Karen. Welcome, Brahma and Chava and Chava and Hadassah. Welcome. Very nice, especially the newcomers. And here we go. Let's. We're starting Parshat Tavo. We just did the first paragraph, 1991. Rebbe's Dvar Malchus. Hayom hazeh Hashem Elokecha mitzavcha lasot et hachokim haleh. And the Rebbe is quoting here from our Torah portion, chapter 26, verse 16. Hayom hazeh, today, Hashem Elokecha mitzavcha, Hashem is commanding you, lasot, to do, et hachokim haleh v'et hamishpatim, these commands, these laws. V'shamata v'asita otam b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha. You should guard them, keep them with all your heart and with all your soul. Okay, and afterwards, it says later on, chapter 27, verse 1 through 3, in this week's Torah portion, I believe, still, Shamot kol mitzvah asher anochi mitzaveh etchem hayom. Keep all the mitzvahs that I'm commanding you today. והיה ביום אשר תעברו את הירדן אל הארץ והקימות עליך אבנים גדולות וכתבת להן את כל דברי התורה הזאת. When you will pass over, tavo, go over the Jordan River to the land, והקימות עליך אבנים, you should set up stones, big stones, וכתבת להן את כל דברי, and you should write upon those stones all the words of Torah, these words of Torah, which is what they did. וכן, and there's a continuation, Hasket u'shmaisel. Hasket is a very unusual word. I don't know if it's used ever any other place in Torah, but it says also in this week's Torah portion. It has something to do with turning towards, I believe, and to listening carefully. Hasket u'shmaisel, and listen to the Jewish people. Hayom, today. Hayom hazeh niyat olam. Today you have become a Jewish nation. The Hashem Elokecha, you've become a nation for Hashem, your God. V'shamata b'kol Hashem, you should listen to Hashem's voice. Elokecha, your God, v'asita et mitzvotav, and do His commands, or His mitzvahs. Mitzvahs are connections, not just commands. V'achar kach b'hemshech ha'parasha medubar b'okadot divrei habrit asher tzivah Hashem. Then, continuing in this parsha, it continues to speak more about the words. This is in chapter 28, verse 69. The words of the bris, the words of the covenant, asher tzivah Hashem Moshe, that Hashem commanded Moshe lichot, to create this covenant, to establish it's basically making a very big deeper bond when you make a covenant, a bris it's called. Lichot et bnei Yisrael be'eretz Moab, in the land of Moab, milvad habrit asher k'arati tam b'chorev, aside from the bris, the bond and the covenant that Hashem made with them at Mount Sinai, the mountain of Chorev. So there was a bris, there's an established covenant at Mount Sinai, and then there was another established covenant here that Moshe did with the Jewish people, between the Jewish people and Hashem, before they went into the land of Israel, when they were still, or maybe right when they came over when they were still in the land of Moab. Okay, ad l'siyum ha'parasha until the end of the parsha, which is in verse 29. chapter 29, verse 8, Hashem, what's written there, Ushmartem et divrei habrit hazot. You should guard and keep the words of this bris, this covenant. V'asitem otam leman taskilu et kol asher ta'ason. You should be understanding and aware of everything that you need to do. V'tochen zeh, the Rebbe puts in brackets, this content of this covenant, nimshach gam b'parshiyot shel achrei zeh, continue in the following parshas of Nitzavim and Vayelech and Hazinu and V'zasabacha, the last final parshas until the end of the book of Devarim. Shesham midbar lo mitzvot patiyot. There, it's not going over specific mitzvahs, but the bris, the general covenant of Torah and mitzvahs, benyanim kolim, and general ideas that are connected to this. So basically, in this week's Torah portion, the final mitzvah that's being reviewed by Moshe Rabbeinu is the mitzvah of Bikurim, of bringing the first fruits when you come to the land of Israel. And then he talks about the bris in general in this week's Torah portion. And then the following portions are more general ideas of our connection to Hashem and general commands, not specific mitzvahs, and the general covenant between us and Hashem. Okay? So what's I guess special about this week's Torah portion is that it's the last specific mitzvah, and it's the mitzvah of Bikurim, of bringing the first fruits. כיוון שהציווי והביטול כללותו תורה ומצוות בא בהמשך אחד, מיד לאחרי מצוות ביקורים, ושלמה שישנה ביניהם שייכות בתוך עניינם, כידוע הדיוק בכל דיני תורה וגם בסדר התורה. So the axiom, Chavrachel, please put the axiom that we know. The Rebbe puts this in parentheses. We know that there's a very specific connection in any aspect of Torah, and also in the order of Torah, the order of which things are brought. So what's the special order that's happening here? That the final mitzvah that's being reviewed is Bikurim, and after that, it's talking about the general covenant between us and Hashem, the Jewish people and Hashem. So the Rebbe says, therefore, there must be a special connection between Bikurim, the mitzvah of the first fruits, and the bris, the covenant in general, the general covenant of the Jewish people and Hashem. There must be a connection. Otherwise, they wouldn't put right one next to the other and following the other. Okay? Now, Bifat, especially according to what Rashi says, and he's quoting Rashi, שהיום הזה השם אלוקיכם מצווך ושמרת ועשית אותם היא ברכה שבאה בגלל קיום מצוות ביקורים. Rashi explains, and this emphasizes this idea even more, that what it says that you should, Hashem today is commanding you should keep and do them, is a blessing. It's not just a command, it's a blessing. When Hashem is saying, I'm commanding you today. Hashem, your God, is commanding you, and you should guard them and keep them. That is a blessing for us to be able to guard them and keep them. And it's a blessing that comes to us because we've kept or we're keeping the mitzvah of Bikurim, of the first fruits brought to the Holy Temple, which was just mentioned before. So Rashi makes that connection. According to Rashi, the connection is you do the mitzvah of Bikurim, and you will get this blessing of being able to keep Torah and mitzvahs. אחר כך בהמשך הפרשה מדובר בהוקרת דברי הברית אשר ציווה השם את משה לכרות את בני ישראל בארץ מואב, מלבד הברית אשר כרת איתם בחורב, עד לסיום הפרשה ממש. ושמרתם את דברי הברית הזאת ועשיתם אותם למען תשכילו את כל אשר תעשו. These the Rebbe is quoting. I'll review it. Afterwards, in the continuation of the parsha, it's what's spoken about at length, Baruka at length, about the divrei bris, the words of the covenant. And this is also in chapter 28, verse 69, the words of the covenant that Hashem has commanded Moshe to make a bris, how do you say to make a bris? To make a covenant. Lichot. In Hebrew, there's a specific word specific for making a covenant. It's called lichot. So that he made between the Jews.
Can you say the word again? What is it?
Lichot. Lichot. Lamed chaf resh taf. There's a specific word used for establishing or making a covenant. It's called lichot.
Maybe it's just a Hebrew word. Is there an English
word?
I don't know if there's an English word for that.
I think there is. That's what I'm saying. It's a specific word that's just for making with the chaf that's used for establishing a covenant. I don't think there's an English word for that's specific for establishing a covenant. So anyway, so Moshe was commanded to establish this covenant in the land of Moab, aside from the bris, aside from the covenant that he made with the Jewish people in Chorev, in Mount Sinai. And at the end of the Parsha, it says, you should keep the covenant, you should do it in order that you should be able to recognize and understand everything that you will do. This I already read. This content is continuous in the next Parshios, the idea, all the content of the bris, of the covenant. Where it's not talked about specific mitzvahs, but about the general bris of Torah and mitzvahs and general ideas that are connected to it. Okay? Okay, so this I said to you. There's a connection between the general covenant and the mitzvah of bikurim, because they come one after the other. The general idea of the bris starts here and it continues to the end of the 5 books of Moses, the next few parshas, right after the bikurim, so there's a connection. Okay, bifata people according to Rashi, especially what Rashi says, that this when Hashem says to us now in this Torah portion, you should keep them, guard them, and keep them. It's a blessing for keeping the mitzvah, specifically for keeping the mitzvah of bikurim. So that was just mentioned in this Torah portion, and he writes, and Likutei Torah explains this. Bais Rebbe explains this more according to Kabbalah and Hasidus. You can go deeply into it. But it says, Bat kol mevarachto, there's a bas kol, there's a voice from heaven that comes out that says, when the person brings the bikurim, and it blesses him and says, Heveta bikurim, you brought your bikurim, hayom tishne l'shana haba. Today you will be able to do this again next year. Oh, Heveta bikurim hayom, you brought bikurim today, tishne l'shana haba. You will be able to redo this again next year. So that's a voice comes out from heaven. So that's like a blessing that comes out to the person who's bringing the bikurim that says, you will be able to do this again next year since you brought the bikurim. This is what happened when the Jew brings the bikurim into the Beis HaMikdash. And this is explained more in Likutei Sichos by the Rebbe, volume 19, Parshas Kisavo, page 227. If you want to look more about this wondrous occurrence that took place in the Holy Temple when the Jews brought their bikurim, their first fruits. Now, more than this, Bais Okay, so I'm just putting my little footnote over here. You can infer from this next thing, and you could tell me if you agree or not, but I think we could possibly say, be very careful with your introductions. When you introduce yourself, sometimes when I have to speak in public, I'm wondering what I should say as the introduction, the opening, okay? Introduction, I'm thinking, should I explain what I've been going through lately, what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to do, what I wanted to say, what I didn't want to say, what I was thinking that, sometimes I'm like, forget all that, just stop, going beating around the bush, just get to what is it that we want to go through over here? What is it that we want to bring? What's the point? The Rebbe says over here, the axiom is the beginning of something, the hatzchala, is very, very significant, very important. And let's see the Rebbe's words, what he says, how he says the beginning is important. Hatchala shel kodah, by the beginning of anything, afilu b'lshon bnei adam, even when, the words of when people are speaking, or in the way people talk about things, at the beginning of something that is common, especially the beginning of something that's holy, that's in holiness and in Torah. It's like an introduction. It's connected to what's continuing on to being done, or the inyan, the aspect. So the Rebbe says anything that if this week's Torah portion starts with bikurim, it's very significant for anything else that's going on in general, aside from it coming one after the other. It's the whole portion starts with bikurim, so it's very much connected to what's brought into this week's Torah portion, which is the whole covenant between the Jewish people and Hashem. So the Rebbe is going to very go deeply, according to the Chassidus, what is the mitzvah of Bikurim? What's so significant about it? And we learned this last year, so I'm very excited about it because it's really very personal for each and every Jewish person, how we view ourselves and what we know about who we are. Okay? Because we're called Bikurim, remember? Okay, so let's see it inside. We have to understand what's the connection between mitzvahs, Bikurim, the mitzvah of Bikurim, and the bris of accepting the whole Torah mitzvahs and all Torah mitzvahs, the covenant for accepting Torah mitzvahs and the covenant of all Torah mitzvahs in general. It seems Bikurim is just a specific, doesn't seem to be such an important or general necessarily. It doesn't seem to be important. It just is specific, a detail. One of the 600 is another one of the 613. One a very specific mitzvah. Then kol mitzvot are one among all the rest of the 613. Not only that, it's a mitzvah that's very much connected with very many conditions and many limitations. You have to be in a certain time, in a certain place. You have to be, only specific people can do it, meaning it's not women, it's men, not children, it's really the adults. There's a very specific details of who can do it, when and what place and who, and it had to be done specifically in the land of Israel. The truth is, the women went also, everybody, the whole families went, but it was only the man who would actually hand it to the Kohen and say the Vidut. But it had to be done in a very specific place with the land of Israel. It had to be done in the time period when the Beis HaMikdash was existing. And in the type, also the mean, okay, it doesn't mean, who brings it, he says, it specifically had to be brought from the 7 species of the land of Israel. It couldn't just be any fruit, the Bikurim. So the 7 species that the land of Israel was praised by. It had to be brought, not just any of your 7 species, it had to be from the first of them, the special ones, the first ones that came out. And there's laws about it. How it was done. Also, it had to be specifically a person who owned land in the land of Israel. It had to be good land that could bring out these fruits, right? And also, there was a time frame where you could bring the Bikurim. It had to be a time of rejoicing from Atzeres until the Chag. There was a specific time frame where they could bring it. And you could look in Rashi, you could look in Rambam, and you can learn the halachas of these Bikurim, which I'm not so savvy in, but God willing, we should, because we're going to have to bring Bikurim soon. And we're going to also have to own some land in Israel. So get ready. We should start maybe planning this out a little better, a little bit more practically. Okay. Okay, so that is... let me just see. Okay, let's finish this paragraph. So how is this connected with today? Hashem says, "I'm commanding you," which is referring to this covenant, and Hashem is speaking to Moshe about this covenant. That Moshe is making covenant with the Jewish people and Hashem. Al kol mitzvot, for all the mitzvahs, not just for a specific mitzvah with its specific details, and all the mitzvahs that all Jewish people are commanded to do anytime, all times, and all places. Like Rashi explains on the verse, every day our mitzvahs should be new in our eyes. We're supposed to feel and sense and refer to the mitzvahs as if today we were commanded. So we are all commanded every day anew on the whole general mitzvahs of keeping mitzvahs. So we're very blessed because we have this eternal unlimited connection. All times, all places, we have these mitzvahs to keep. So we have this covenant, all time, all place, all people, in many ways. So how is this bris, this covenant of all time, all place, all people, all things, connected to this very, very detailed, specific, very exacting mitzvah in time, place, space, what you're bringing. Also, the Rebbe wants to ask another question. The name of the Parsha is when you will come, Kitavo, when you will come. But it's explained many times. The names of the Parsha. Another axiom that the name of something expresses the content of something. So the name of the Parsha, ki tavo, when you will come, expresses something about this Parsha. As well, we have to understand, what is this tavo? What's this coming to? Pirush knisat, coming in is entering the Jewish people entering the land of Israel. And so there was asking a question. When it says, when you will come to the land of Israel, why is this preface of when you will come is just a preparation for keeping the mitzvah of Bikurim? Why is it mentioned when you will come to the land of Israel? Why does that have to be prefaced? What's this entering the land of Israel connected to this very specific mitzvah? It's this. Okay, let's understand what this coming into the land of Israel, how it's a bigger deal, okay? It seems like it's just a hakdama, just an introduction and a preparation to keeping the mitzvah of Bikurim and the rest of the mitzvahs that we have to enter the land in order to keep. So we have to keep after we come into the land. So it doesn't seem to be such a big deal. Coming to the land is just in order to be able to keep the mitzvahs. Still, the whole parsha is called ki tavo, when you will come in, like it's like this amazing thing and this very important essential thing. So the whole parsha, which talks about starting mitzvah bikurim, and the whole bris, the whole covenant of the Jewish people and Hashem, this is the content of the parsha. Everything in the parsha is called ki tavo, when you will come. Which is just a preparation, hachana, and akdam, an introduction to keeping all the mitzvahs in the land. Okay, so instead of calling, like it could have, let's say, the Rebbe doesn't say this, so I don't know if I should say this, but let's say the Torah portion could be called the bris. This is the covenant. That would have seemed to be more appropriate. The main thing seems to be here about the covenant. That's the huge phenomena that's going on here, the covenant. But no, it's called when you will come in, when you will enter the land of Israel. So why was that chosen to be the name of this week's Torah portion? So we finished paragraph base. How are we doing with time? I don't have my phone in front of me.
It's 10:09 in Chicago. What is it, 8:09 by you?
8:09. Yeah, it seems, and welcome, Reveal Mashiach. I like that name. Okay, here we go. Gimel, paragraph 3. So now the Rebbe is going to explain an introduction to this whole idea in order to understand get all the answers that he brought up. So he's introducing the chiddush, so something of this mitzvah of Bikurim, something new in this mitzvah of bringing the first fruit. This is a unique opportunity, a unique way that people were able to bring praise and gratitude and express gratitude and thanks to Hashem. But it was done in a very, very special way when they brought the Bikurim. And he's going to explain how would they bring the Bikurim, the content of bringing it, and Bikurim, and reading what there was a certain thing that they had to say when they brought the Bikurim into the Holy Temple. They had to recognize that this brought a person to the recognition, and you had to recognize this idea in order to bring the Bikurim and make the statement that it's from Hashem. All that we get is coming. All the blessings in the world are coming from Hashem. Okay, so we have to know that this is an underlying thing. If anybody gets upset over money, this is our underlying present from Hashem to have this, to take any stress or any upset over money. That recognizing, and this is a quote from Sefer HaChinuch, Mitzvah 91 and Mitzvah 606. Okay, Tafresh Vav. So the mitzvah. This is what Sefer HaChinuch writes. It's one of their essential books. It explains in a very short, concise way most of the mitzvahs in the Torah, and he explains like this. What is the mitzvah bikurim? Explains the mitzvah bikurim is that we're recognizing that from Hashem everything is coming to us from Hashem. All the blessings in the world are coming from Hashem. The blessing from Hashem, blessed be He, the Holy One, blessed be He, is what's bringing to the Jew the shefa hatvot, the abundance of the produce and the pears, the fruits in His fields. And therefore, He's bringing from His fruits, the best, the first and the best. The bikurim are the first ones that come on the branch, and the finest of the field. And he thanks Hashem, the Holy One, blessed be He. And he's not showing ingratitude, the opposite of gratitude. Kfui tova is the opposite of gratitude. It's like, I don't know how you say it in English, the opposite of gratitude. For the fruits that Hashem has blessed him, and for all Hashem's kindness, chesdei hamakom, Hashem, and that's why you answer and you say, before Hashem your God, and you say this, that the whole text that you announce when you're coming to the Bais Hamikdash with your first gifts of the Bikurim. We tell the story of Hashem's kindness, Aleinu upon us, for all the Jewish people in general. Okay, so there's a lot of footnotes that I was quoting here from Sefer Chinuch, and also Sefer HaMitzvahs of the Rambam, mitzvah, positive mitzvah 132. Okay, so there's this mitzvah specifically is a way of acknowledging that Hashem is really the one who is the provider for all the abundance and good that we have, and it's really all from Hashem. And by coming with the first and the best and giving us a gift to the Kohen of Bais Hamikdash and thanking Hashem, this is a way of showing and acknowledging this fact, okay, and recognizing and acknowledging. We're not being the opposite of grateful. Okay, so that's paragraph. This is footnote 30. That he's bringing, that this is also explained in Maimonides' Rambam, Positive Commandment 132. Now, this sense, this feeling of gratitude. Lakadosh Baruch Hu to Hashem, okay? So this is a very good thing. People I've noticed, people who have a habit of making it a habit and consciously thanking Hashem, practicing gratitude is what they'll call it, are much happier people. I think it's even proven. And they're much more desired people. People want to be around them, okay? Grateful people, okay? So this sense of being grateful, you have to feel it. You have to really, you can't just, it's not just a mantra you're, repeating and not feeling it. This sense of acknowledgement, of gratitude to Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, al Chasadah, for Hashem's kindness, and saying thank you, and giving praise and gratitude to Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for this. It's a general, klali aspect in the life of a Jew. Starting immediately when you wake up from your sleep. When you say, you recognize and you declare, I'm grateful to you, Hashem, that you have given me my soul. We don't take it for granted that we woke up in the morning. Hashem gave us our soul today. That's something to be appreciative. Hashem didn't have to. Okay? So this is the foundation. This is the first gate for our serving Hashem in the morning. To be grateful that we even here, that we even woke up. And we draw this gratitude in the blessings and the prayers. Similar to what we say in the benching, the prayer after blessing after the meals. Thank you, Hashem. Or also in the Shmoneh Esrei, we say, we're thanking, acknowledging Hashem for our life that are given over in your hands. We're dependent on Hashem if we're going to be alive or not. We're thanking Hashem for His wonders, your kindness, every moment, evening, morning, and afternoon. This is in the Amidah prayer, the Shmoneh Esrei, in Birkas Modim, when we towards the end, when we're acknowledging and thanking Hashem. Birkat Hanehenin, also, we say this in the grace after meals. Hashonot v'arabot, there's a few different kinds. One's after, the shorter version, the longer version. There's many other blessings, shorter blessings before the food. We're blessing and thanking Hashem throughout the day, and every day. There's things for the smells and for all kinds of things. We thank Hashem when we're having pleasure from certain things. There's many laws of these blessings, when and how to say them, including and in general the blessing after meals. Shemin Torah, which is from the Torah. It's interesting. We had a guest Friday night, our first Friday night guest in our new home, a neighbor across the street. And I explained to him, and I said, listen, if you want a good deed, you want a mitzvah, you have an opportunity now to get a biblical command under your belt, which is the grace after meals. Everybody's like, most people are aware that there's such a thing, grace after meals, but I don't know how many people out in the world who have not learned these things are aware that it's actually one of the biblical commands to say the grace after meals. At least I think the first two paragraphs are from the Torah. When we say there, Hashem, you are giving parnasa, you're giving sustenance. Zan is to feed and to sustain. Esolam, the whole world. Hulo, entirely. Betuvo, with your kindness. Bechen ubechesed, with grace and with kindness and with mercy, etc. It's very interesting because it's become popular by millionaires and billionaires that they're when they make a certain amount of money, that they have to give a lot of it away. They don't need it, and they don't need so much. There's not much they can do with it. And anyway, probably to avoid taxes, what they need to do is to give it away. So there's a lot more abundance now, and coming even more as we enter the new era of artificial intelligence and much more. The prediction is that there's going to be a lot more abundance in the world in general, and a lot more money, and a lot more resources, and a lot more to go around. Yes, and there's a lot of people who have already made a lot of money that are starting to try to figure out their next job is to figure out where and how much to give. So I don't know if you noticed, but there was something I have to mention this because it was a new thing, and the Rebbe says always look at new things that are going on right now that are wondrous, that are interesting, okay, that never happened in history before. So there was something that made the headlines. Never has there been such a gathering of millionaires and billionaires together, and a meeting of millionaires and billionaires together, and they were convened together in the White House, and there was a huge table, I think 33 guests, Lamed Gimel, 33 is 3 and 3, there talks about 3 and 3, chazaka, okay, and they were, and the goal is to basically to improve the resources for the entire world. That's my understanding. I didn't read too much about it. I just saw a quick article, but it sounded like it was kind of like a fundraiser to get them to give out money to help for resources to help everybody, to help not just themselves or what they think, but together to have like commitments that will be used for helping other people, resources. We'll see exactly how it will pan out. We'll find out. But the goal was like, I know, this was done a few years ago in the first term of this president, and he went to the Arab countries, and he I think in this term also, to get them to make investments in America, financial investments. Here, I don't know exactly what the terms and conditions. I think this was more free money, not necessarily investments in economy. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't read enough, but I'm saying the point there was never such a meeting of such multi-billionaires together with the one goal of basically to help humankind, to help humanity, to help other people. Okay, that's my interpretation. If you don't like to see it this way, it's okay. But I like to try to see things from a perspective of what's new as a chiddush, as a time that we're in, that things are going to get better for the whole world, like we have predicted in the Torah, that things are going to get better and better. There will be abundance in the world. And it seems to me that this is pretty significant. This can be a very big jumpstart. I think Mark Zuckerberg said he'll give $600 billion between now and from now and throughout till the end of 2026. That was his commitment. Anyway, exactly where and how it's going to be is I don't know, but this is at least a start towards the wealth coming towards being established to help everybody. Okay, here we go. We are in, okay. We are here, we have the mitzvah to acknowledge that Hashem really is the one who orchestrated this whole meeting. Don't give credit to, and it's Hashem who's making this happen, okay? Hashem has his players, his shluchim, his people that make it actually technically, practically happen, but it's Hashem who's bringing about this abundance into the world. And when a Jew goes to the Holy Temple and he brings the produce and recognizes and thanks Hashem, and we do this throughout the day with all the blessings, all blessings after grace after meals, we are acknowledging that Hashem is the one who's running the world, giving the sustenance, and therefore we are bringing these bikurim and we're giving this thanks. Okay, so we're in the middle of base. Welcome. Here, the Rebbe is talking about the nations of the world. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so I'm onto something over here. Let's continue. This recognition, we start, we said already, we start Modiani, we start throughout the day, all the blessings, and mention now. Okay, this is what the Rebbe is saying. I didn't read ahead, right? I did a little bit on Shabbos. Let's continue. Afilu benu motalam, even amongst the nations of the world, they believe and they recognize that Hashem is the creator of the world and the manhig. He rules and runs the world. There is this etiquette or this way of doing things and of recognizing, giving recognition to Hashem that they have been sustained, etc. Right? Many non-Jews do the grace blessings before they eat. And they also have, even on the dollar, in God we trust. There's different ways that they are recognizing that Hashem is the one who's providing for them. But this is also more emphasized when we know, according from the Bais Chana of the saying of the Bais Chana is very famous, and it was explained more by the Alter Rebbe, more in detail. That everything in the world, the creation of the world, is renewed every day at every moment. And he says every day and every moment and moment. It says it twice. Which means this is unlimited. Remember the Rebbe says whenever something's said twice, it means unlimited. It's again and again, and then again and again and again and again. So the Rebbe says this is a chesed bilti mugbar, a kindness that's unlimited. Ma'akadosh Baruch Hu, from Hashem, Borei Olam creates the world, l'kol niva, to every creation, shemashpia al niva mevi'ol hakara, that he influences the creation and he brings us to the recognition, to the sense, the feeling that deeply, even more, shukol hasovev oto, that Hashem is everything that's surrounding him, and shehu v'kohidehi, the person, and everything that's around him. Talui legamri is dependent completely b'chesed atmidi, and Hashem's internal continuous kindness of Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, blessed be He, the Holy One, blessed be He. And that you can look in the Rebbe gave a general letter for Chai Elul, which is coming up this week, Thursday. This year it's going to be Thursday. And the Rebbe would write a letter for Chai Elul, a general letter for everybody. And that year, 1991, it was printed in Sefer HaSichos 1992, Part 2, page 515. I have that book somewhere. I could look it up. If you want, I can look it up right now, I think. If I can find it. If I find it quickly, I'll open it up. Remember, I just moved. I don't know where all my books are. Here. Yeah, here it is. I have it. Let's see if I can find page 515. No, let me see. This one, volume 1. This is volume 1, page 15. No. And this is volume 2. Yeah, volume 15. Here you go. This is Sefer Sichos Tafshin Bais. It's the same Sichos, but it's a different version. This is how it's printed as it came out right away, before the Rebbe went over it and made it more, touched it up with more footnotes and more tweaked it some more. So page 515. Okay, let's see. Yeah. See which part of it that was referring to from this page. What were we looking at here? That we're recognizing and acknowledging that every day and every moment, it's an unlimited kindness from Hashem that was creating the world and creating us, and bringing us to the creation, the created beings, to recognition. This brings us. Okay, I'm saying this. I'll read it again. This is emphasized even more. This is very important. According to the Torah of the Bais Chana that we know, and it was explained more specifically through the Alter Rebbe in Shar HaYichud VaEmunah, which is the second part of Tanya, which is all about how Hashem creates the world. And he explains this idea of how Hashem creates the world at every second from nothing to something. And that's okay. That's footnote 36. Shabriat kol olam, the creation of the entire world, mitchadeshet, is being renewed b'kol yom v'yom, every day, b'kol rega v'rega, and every moment and moment. Shezeu chesed b'lu. This is a very great kindness, an unlimited kindness from Hashem, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, from the Creator, from one Holy One, blessed be He, B'olam created the world, to every creation, to every created being. Shemashpia al haniva mavio lakara le'geshem ukimota, which Hashem influences on every, or brings down, draws down to every created being, and brings the person or the creation, the hakara, to a recognition, v'le'geshem, to a sense, amukim, a deep sense, even more, shehu v'kol sovevoto, that this created being, that's us, and everything that's around us, talui legam, is completely dependent, b'chesed ha'mitmidi, with Hashem's continuous kindness of Hashem, that Hashem is creating us at this moment from nothing to something. So this is not just that we wake up in the morning and recognize that Neshama came back into our body, but that even our body is existing from nothing to something at every moment. This is a great kindness of Hashem, not to be taken for granted. This is a great unlimited kindness from Hashem's unlimited power of creation and abilities that only Hashem can create something from nothing. And Hashem, in His kindness, is letting us sense this, that we're being, totally being created by Hashem at this moment. So from nothing to something. So that is, he says, is brought also at length in Sefer Sichos. Let me just see. Sefer Sichos Bais, part 2, page 515. So, yeah, page 515. Yeah, the Elach and continuation. So let's see. I don't. Let's see this letter of Chayil here. I'm not sure because I don't see the letter from Chayil that he's referring to. So sorry. Maybe somebody else can figure this out for me, but it's not. I don't see this letter of Chayil that he's referring to on that page of that book. Okay, so maybe this is Sichos Kodesh, and there's maybe another book called Sefer HaSichos of 1992, Tafshin Bais. So maybe it's not this version, it's a different one. This is a very old book. I got it when it came out in shortly after 1992 when they printed this. So I've had this for over 30 years. Okay, so in any event, there must be another version which would have the letter that he's referring to. Okay, let's continue. This activity of bringing the bikurim before Hashem your God. One second, I skipped. However, in the mitzvah of bikurim there's a chiddush. How is bikurim different than the general acknowledgement of Hashem for being created every moment? There's a very deep expression, that's a very general expression, it's an all-inclusive expression of recognition and great gratitude to Hashem. Okay, so anybody who wants to practice gratitude, let's learn from this mitzvah. What's going on here? It says, the Jew is expressing his feelings and emotions of gratitude and thanksgiving, lakadosh baruch hu to Hashem. He does it not just in speech. We don't just say thank you, Hashem. We express it even stronger, in deeds. And this is how Bikurim is so special. He takes from the first produce, the best of his produce, of fruits of his land. Make all the effort to go to the holy temple. Tavi bet Hashem Elokecha, that's the command to bring it to the holy temple. Elamakom asher yivcha Hashem, the place Hashem chose, l'shaken shmo sham, to reveal Himself, to dwell. Umaniach lifnei Hakadosh Baruch Hu, He puts this fruit in front of Hashem, v'nachto lifnei, like it says, you should place it before Hashem. The davar zeh, this action, mevateh ha'akara mle'ah, expresses our full recognition. Shel Hashem ha'aretz umlad, that Hashem, the whole world and everything in it belongs to Hashem. Everything belongs to Hashem. We don't just recognize it in our, recognition, our intelligence. That everything he has came from Hashem. The kindness of Hashem, blessing. You show it the action. You show it by bringing the first fruits. Even after you receive the shefa perot, the abundance of the fruits. Shaychim aparot, all these fruits are connected to v'kol chasav, and everything you have, all your money, everything. Adayin lakadosh baruch hu, it's all connected still to Hashem. Kivan shel Hashem ha'atzomah, since the whole earth belongs to Hashem and everything in it. L'chen hayu mevit reshit kol perot, therefore you bring the first of all the fruits of the land. Harishonim b'muvchaim, the first ones and the most precious ones, the most muvchaim, the best ones. Lifnei Hashem Elokecha, before Hashem God, zenish'al b'reshut hakadosh baruch hu, and it's placed and remains in Hashem's domain. Okay, so this is an acknowledgement, but it's not just an acknowledgement in speech; it's an action. You take from your best. And you say, this really all came from Hashem, and you give from the best, and you leave it before, you give it there in Hashem's domain. This activity of bringing the first fruits before Hashem God, in a way that it remains there, it permeates a person even deeper. In the person who's bringing this, these first fruits, these bikurim, that we recognize even more. We internalize and we sense it even more. Everything we have, really is in essence connected to being before Hashem, your God. Because through bringing these first fruits in activity, in action, actively doing something, this recognition is expressed and felt not just in our mind, and not just in our speech, like, by blessing Hashem, and like we do when we bench and do grace after meals, and we do all the blessings that we do in our mind and our speech. But this is also being done in our action. And this becomes permeated in all our existence. all our garments. Our garments are thought, speech, and deed. Until our activity and our deeds. Is permeates deeply, even also in our speech. You should answer and say before Hashem your God. You say it very loud. It's like lifting your voice. You say it and you do it with joy. Our thought and our kavana, our intention, are in it. So that is the end of paragraph 2. Okay, and I'm going to stop here, and you can ask or say and bring on this idea. It's something that we need to internalize, and really, the Rebbe says the real way to really internalize it is by taking action, by taking from your produce, from your good stuff, and giving it away to Hashem. That is the best way to recognize and sense in your whole being that really you and everything you have is from Hashem and belongs to Hashem. Okay?
I have a question. If someone has a fruit tree, the first fruits, are they the first 50 fruits, the first 2 weeks, the first 3? Do you know how?
Yes, I don't know I didn't learn these laws so well. I just know that the way it's described in the Mishnah is that when a person goes out to his field and notices there's a first fruit, he's supposed to wrap it and tie it and let it continue to grow. You have to put a sign on it. You used to put a red tie or something and say, this is the first fruit that you notice, and then that is the bikurim.
Well, so you have to be involved in your field or in your trees.
Yeah, or your vines, your grapes, or your figs, or
wow,
species. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
Can you take off the recording? I have a question.